1. First off, I like to think of myself as a scientifically minded individual. I try to find any possible explanation for something before I immediately assume it's a ghost. But nobody that has stepped foot in my childhood home has left it without believing in ghosts. We moved into the house when I was about 5 or 6, and at first, nothing really happened. The very first time I had any idea was after a year or so. On this night, I was laying in bed in the middle of the night. I couldn't sleep. In my room, my bed is laid out in such a manner that the door is 90 degrees to my right as I'm laying down on my back. The door to my bedroom was open. As I'm from the south and we didn't have ACs, so everyone had the windows open and fans to let the house breathe. Anyway, as I'm laying there unable to sleep, I turn my head to the right. Standing there in the doorway is the clear silhouette of a man. It did not have any features for me to see, just the outline. Even though I didn't see his face, I knew it was a man, and I knew that he was looking right at me. I froze in fear for what felt like an eternity and eventually grabbed whatever was near to throw at the door and to try to close it. I was unable to get it closed, so I eventually just rolled onto my left side and hoped he would go away. Eventually I got the courage to look, and he was gone, and I went back to sleep. That was just the beginning of a childhood of paranormal encounters within the home, and, to be clear, after growing up in the home. I know now that the spirits in the house are not malicious or hurtful in any way. Sometimes they just want someone to know that they're there, and will make themselves known, but never in a bad way. There was another occurrence. It happened one evening when I was home alone. Yes, I really was home alone, because after this happened, I checked the entire house just to be sure I was indeed alone. In my room I have a desk. I like to sit at it to do my homework. As I'm sitting there writing, I hear my name spoken, like someone trying to get my attention. I thought maybe my stepdad had come home and was speaking to me, so I turned to say hi and he wasn't there. So I got up and hollered downstairs to see if someone had come in, but no reply. I brushed it off and sat back down to continue. Not 5 seconds after I sit down, I hear my name spoken again, but with an annoyed tone, as if they were trying to get my attention and I couldn't hear them. I turned around again. No one there. At this point, I'm thinking to myself, okay, it's just the old ghost messing with me. So I turned back around again. I sat there for maybe 5 more seconds before a very clear voice spoke directly into my ear and said, "Look at me." That, I think, was the scariest thing I personally had happen to me. I still didn't feel threatened, he just wanted my attention. So I said, "I can't see you, so I can't look at you. But I can hear you, and I know you're here." I didn't hear anything else after that. Since then, I adopted the strategy of just acknowledging things when they happen. If these spirits or ghosts are indeed people that have passed on and are stuck in this limbo where they can't be seen or heard, it must be sad and lonely for them. So if I can make them happy by letting them know whenever I know they're near, I will. 2. I think it was maybe around 3 years ago. I remember it was winter because it was really cold and snowy outside. I was left alone in my family's cabin while others went Christmas shopping for food and last-minute packages for some friends, or something. I don't really remember when they went out. But that's not so important. My point is, I was all alone in our cabin playing some games on my phone while listening to some music on the radio in my room, on the first floor of the cabin. I remember that I suddenly got cold and went to grab a blanket that was on our sofa. Just when I was about to get up and grab the blanket, I saw some kind of shadow in my side vision. I didn't really care that much because I thought that maybe it was just my imagination playing a trick on me. because I didn't really like being alone in general, and especially not in a cabin on a mountain in the middle of winter. I got the blanket and went back to my room to play some more games. About 1 hour passed, and I had forgotten all about this strange shadow, but then I saw it again. This time it stayed in my side vision for about 3 to 5 seconds before it went away again. I got a little creeped out about it, since I was the only one in the cabin at the moment. Therefore I decided to lock the door to my room. Right after I locked the door to my room, I heard some kind of crying upstairs on the second floor of the cabin. At first I thought it was my little sister, who was about 3 years old at the time. She used to cry a lot, and I asked out loud, "What's wrong? Did you hurt yourself?" I heard the answer, "Yes. I fell while playing with my dolls. Can you come upstairs and help me?" I unlocked my door and head towards the stairs when it finally hit me. I was alone in the cabin, so whatever the fuck was upstairs could not be my little sister. I sprinted out of the cabin wearing only a t-shirt and my dad's slippers, and it was freezing cold outside. I stopped running about 150 meters away from my cabin and looked at it from a distance. In one of the windows on the second floor, I could see a shadow just standing still, and I got the feeling it was staring at me even though I could not make out any eyes. I stood there outside of my family's cabin in the freezing cold. Maybe about 30 minutes. We cried until my family finally arrived. My mom and dad asked me what was wrong, but I didn't want them to think I was crazy, so I just made up a story. I don't remember what I told them, but they seemed concerned about me. One thing I remember is that I talked my mom and dad into driving me to my grandparents' cabin, because I refused to enter our cabin. Ever since that day, I refuse to join my family when they go to our family cabin. It's really hard to explain, but the feeling I got that day on the cabin can only be described as not wanted. Like someone or something wanted to harm me, and I have nightmares about the shadow figure thing even today. It's haunting my dreams. If anyone has experienced something similar or might have any idea about what that thing is and how I can stop having nightmares about it, can you please leave a comment? I would really appreciate any advice you guys have. 3. I've been living in this house for almost 20 years now, and currently I'm living with my parents. I never actually had an intense paranormal encounter, just the occasional faint whispers, a sudden breeze of cold air. Yes, I live in a tropical country, that's why a sudden drop in temperature would be noticeable. And even once a doll's head turning in front of me. So now that's out of the way, the story begins on a Monday, which is usually a quadriceps-focused leg day for me. I was about to finish off my workout at about 1 to 1:30 a.m., and the onset of this encounter is that my pet cats were acting a little bit stranger than usual. Usually they sleep and don't give a fuck, but in that moment it looks as if they're looking at someone or something at the direction of the gate. The home gym is placed before the gate, so I went to take a look. There was nothing and no one in front of our house, just darkness and the dilapidated streetlight that blinks intermittently. So I went on my last sets and shrugged it off, and thought that maybe they just saw a cat pass by, or maybe a rat, or any cat prey of some sorts. I've just finished another set, then proceeded to rest while on my phone, then the lights of my home gym flicker. Maybe it was just the light acting up. The bulb has been in there for quite some time now. I sat, then proceeded to play Spotify on the speakers, then onto the workout. Midway in the set, the music stopped playing, and for some reason I had goosebumps. I had to finish the set with the deafening silence. As I looked to the phone, it was buffering. This normally doesn't happen because we had pretty good reception. At that moment, I feel as if I'm being watched, but didn't really pay attention to it because I was setting PRs and was having a good workout. As I sat on the bench to rest for the next set, I heard a psst from a distance coming from the direction of the gate. Naturally, I went to investigate. Nothing was there. The music finally came back on, so I proceeded to the last set. Last set done, I was packing up all the plates and barbell that I have used. The music stops playing once more, then a few moments later the light flickers. I feel someone looking at me from the gate. Nothing again when I investigated. I proceeded with doing cardio on my stationary bike while watching PewDiePie as he and Jacksepticeye had just released a vid together. So there I was finishing my post-workout cardio when all of a sudden it became cold. Which is a bit odd since there are no signs of raining, no air cons or fans, and it was not even cold outside. As I was about to finish my post-workout shake, I still feel a presence watching me, but I was so preoccupied weighing the contents of the shake when all of a sudden I heard another psst. But now it's different. It sounds nearer than the previous one. I looked to the gate, nothing. I was consuming my post-workout shake on the bench at my gym and scrolling my phone. I still feel a presence looking my way, so I looked at the gate, and to my surprise a silhouette of a figure with its head tilted slightly to the left, about 6 feet tall, with a skinny build is there across the street, just standing. I stared at it for a minute, as I was practically shitting bricks at that moment. I got a hold of myself eventually, and swiftly locked the doors and closed the curtains to the direction in which the figure is located. I ran so fast to my parents' room and told them that there was someone in front of our house just standing. My parents, of course, shrugged me off just like the previous times I've encountered whispers in our house. I went to my room and passed out on my bed. I probably had adrenaline in my system, and maybe I was too tired from that workout. That's why I fell asleep so fast. Fast forward to last week. My mother just got home from her work at the hospital. Then she proceeded to eat in the dining area of our home. Then she also heard that psst not far from her. It's impossible that it was me or my dad, since we were both asleep when my mom came home. My mother rushed to my room and scolded me for pranking her. Then I told her, "Oh, so you heard it too." Then I proceeded to tell her what happened the night they brushed me off. Call it BS or not, I personally don't care. I just wanted to share my peculiar experiences with you guys. I'm not really a religious person, but I do know that there are things out there that are beyond our understanding. 4. Let me start by saying that I am a huge skeptic, and can almost always find an explanation for supposed paranormal encounters. I don't believe in ghosts, and am pretty good at using logic and reason to debunk most stuff. But I can't explain this one. I've been trying for years, and I just can't. Now, let's go back about 10 years, give or take. I was living in a house in a small town whose previous inhabitants all died of old age and natural causes. We rented the house, and the landlord was the eldest son of the previous inhabitants. I would hear footsteps in the attic pretty regularly, and see orbs in the dining room. Often. But none of that is very substantial, and is easily explained away. Orbs could easily just be dust in the sunlight, and footsteps are easily explained because we had 2 large dogs and 2 cats who had full roam of the house. That's not why I'm here, though. The reason I'm posting tonight is to tell you about the time that I was laying in bed one night and felt something I still can't make sense of. I was still wide awake, watching TV and scrolling whatever social media platform I was using at the time, so this experience wasn't a dream or anything like that. My bed sat in the corner of the room, with the headboard on one side against the wall. It was a small single, so it wasn't very big at all. I'm 6 foot 2 inches tall, and took up most of the bed. I was laying on my side facing the TV with my back towards the wall, and the time was around 2 a.m. on a warm summer night. As I'm laying there relaxing, I felt the mattress compress behind me, as if someone or something had sat down. I felt something touch my shoulder as well. I can only describe it as feeling like a hand gently placed on my shoulder. When I turned around to see what it could be, there was nothing behind me except for the wall, but I was able to see exactly where the mattress had decompressed. I was able to see the indent in the mattress, as if there was something with substantial weight sitting there. But there was nothing. A shiver ran down my spine, and I could feel a cold spot in the area that the thing was sitting. Only a second or two later, I felt the hand leave my shoulder and watched as the mattress decompressed. Whatever it was had left. I quickly got out of bed, grabbed my blanket and pillow, and went downstairs to sleep on the couch. I didn't even turn the TV off. I stayed up all night thinking about this experience and trying to make sense of it. 10 years later, I'm still unable to make sense of it. That was the first and only time I have ever experienced anything like this. As a skeptic, I don't want to believe that it was paranormal. I want to think that it was something explainable. But I simply can't explain it. I still think about it regularly, and it just doesn't make sense. I want to know what you think. I want to know if you've ever had a similar experience, or if there is a possible explanation that I may be overlooking. Did something visit me that night, or is there a more reasonable explanation that I just haven't thought of? What do you think? 5. Before I get into the experience, I need to give you some background for this to make sense. In my backyard, my dad has a woodworking shed, size of a small barn or big shed, about 30 to 50 yards from the house. My dog hates the shed. He cries to get out of it because he hates it so much, so you have to pick him up and put him in it, but close the door really fast. Also, he's a lap dog, very tiny. Also, when you walk into the shed, it's a big rectangle with the long sides perpendicular to the door. There are windows on the left and right side of it, but not on the wall where the door is, and the back wall. Plus, there is a huge workbench in the center of the workshop. Okay. So this happened between November 28th and December 4th, 2020. I can't remember the exact day, though. One night, my sister Susan went into my dad's workshop at about 8 p.m., pitch blackout, and far from the house with all of the house lights off because our parents were asleep, except us two. She was painting a cooler for her boyfriend at the time, but needed it finished by tomorrow because she was leaving early to return to college. Since it was her last night and I wouldn't be able to see her for 2 weeks, I decided to go in there but not help. When I got in the shed, I was surprised thinking, wow, it's cold. And how the heck does she get the dog in here? Well, about an hour in, I had our dog in my lap. We were sitting very close to the back wall with the 2 to 3 feet gap between us, listening to Mr. Ballin on YouTube. Hindsight 2020, that definitely didn't help. I get this super strong whiff of freshly lit cigarettes, which wasn't too odd. My dad is a smoker, so growing up with him I've learned to know the difference in the smells between old and fresh cigarettes. But I thought I should mention it to Susan because it was really strong. Yo, Susan, I just got a super strong smell of fresh lit cigarettes. What the heck? Key Gaming 99? Who cares? Dad smokes in here all the time. What's your point? Okay, chill, I was just saying. I thought I should mention it because it's weird. Not even 15 minutes later, my dog, still sitting on my lap, sits up, then starts aggressively growling and barking at the windows. Keep in mind that it's pitch blackout, and you can't see out the windows because the shed light reflects off the windows, making them like a mirror. Then my dog hops off my lap, and starts to run around the shed, continuing to aggressively bark and growl at all the windows. Susan and I are terrified because he's never an aggressive dog. Also, if we would tell him to stop barking, he would instantly stop. But as we were yelling at him to shut up, he just won't. Finally, he stopped running around the shed, looks in between us, like the perfect middle of us, and starts whining defensively, but growling too at the wall that has no windows. What the heck? What the heck? What the heck? Stop it now, says Susan. Gaming 99, I'm not leaving now, I'm too scared. I'm silently crapping myself and visibly scared. No, nothing's going on. Let's just go inside, Susan. I promise nothing is going to happen to us. Before we go inside, we gather all of her painting stuff and the cooler. I grab a super long screwdriver, then hype myself up in my head to open the door. 30 seconds before I opened the door, a super cold airflow entered the room. And I know is a sign of a ghost, which made me want to get inside now. So now my 21-year-old sister makes her 16-year-old brother protect her, act like the older sibling and go first. Later found out she thought either her or me. I turned off the lights, which caused my bad anxiety to go to the worst anxiety I've ever had, building up and getting ready to explode. In the blackest of black darkness, with my eyes not adjusted, thinking I'm going to die, I slowly opened the door, with it creaking unbelievably loud. I had the screwdriver held like Cod's knife commando grip, and looked so slowly around the door with Susan holding onto me, literally shaking, and my dog who's ready to run to the house. I thought I saw something, so told Susan to book it. We closed the door and ran into the house, turning on all the kitchen lights. We get inside and Susan says, "My God, Key, where's the dog?" Now I'm afraid that my dog's dead and screamed, "Oh crap, probably outside!" We called his name, with the door cracked open for about 5 minutes, but he wouldn't come, so not wanting to, but wanting my dog to be safe, I convinced Susan to come with me to check the shed. She wanted me to go on my own. Unwillingly, she came with me to go look. I was still gripping the screwdriver like a knife because I could feel something out there. We get up to the shed doors and open it. My dog is there with his tail down, not wanting to leave it. He hates it there and won't leave. Meaning whatever was there followed us. I picked him up and ran back to the house. When we get back inside, we realize that all of the lights that we turned on are now off. We wouldn't have turned them off because of how scared we were, and our parents were dead asleep. I locked the door and sprinted upstairs. This was from 8 p.m. to 10 to 11 p.m. More things happened that night, but I didn't experience it because it was in my sister's room. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to 5 True Paranormal Stories, episode 258. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. If you enjoyed the video, then please do like and subscribe. That's it. You don't have to do anything else, unless you want to, in which case you could also comment. Right, today's date, it is the 10th today, and I think we have a little birthday shouting out. This one just snuck in very, very close, and it goes out to Pamela. Pamela is 47 today. I hope you have a delightful day, Pamela. Josh sent this in, so if you want to blame anyone, blame Josh. Or hug Josh, whatever you're into, I'm not going to judge. Okay, let's see, I think that's the only shouting out today. So I would like to sing a happy birthday to Pamela before we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Pamela. Happy birthday to you. Lovely. I always feel very calm after singing that. I think that's everything for now. Well, actually, let's see. Before I go away, just a reminder, there is a Hellfreezer Teespring merchandise shop for all your Hellfreezer-related merchandise needs. And as Christmas is upon us, once again, sneakily, why not give the gift of Hellfreezer to a loved one? Or the curse of Hellfreezer to people you hate? Because Hellfreezer is multi-purpose. And you will find the link to the gift shop in the description of the video, along with links to various other Hellfreezer-related things. I should probably put the Discord link in there at some point. Still not sure if that's okay. Anyway, with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.